So from someone that couldn't speak, from a child that used to hide underneath a slide at nursery, someone that couldn't hold eye contact with anyone because I felt unsafe, I felt threatened, and I didn't know that, but that's how it showed up in my life. I spoke out after I wrote my book, and I continue to speak out because we as adults have to be upstanders, not bystanders. We can't be complicit in the silence. We have to speak up for the vulnerable, children, young people and adults that who have not shared what has happened to them, that are living with the daily impact of trauma, and many don't even know that what is happening to them on a day-to-day basis, their symptoms, their mental unwellness, their physical unwellness. They haven't dotted the I's and crossed the T's. They don't know what they don't know. So it's here in this video, showing you, sharing with you that adverse childhood experiences because of abuse in all its forms and because of neglect can and will have an impact on your day-to-day life, on your health and well-being. How do I feel about all of this? To be truthful, I want to swear, I want to scream, I want to shout, I want to show the world my rage, my indignation. I want to show everybody the days where I can't get up and speak, the days where I will just crumble and cry. But you won't get to see that. Not anymore, because that is my past, and I want the present day and the future to be different. I want it to be different for our children and young people, and that anger that I can't express like I would want to because no one would listen, I use it as that internal fire to make me get up and speak out and do different and bring awareness and educate. This work is really important to me, holding people to account, wanting change to happen in this space, because I know what it feels like to have gone through these lived experiences. I know what it feels like to be let down by the professionals who should have been there to protect me. I know what it feels like to live with the everyday struggles of the trauma impacts. I know what it feels like when you can't get the right support and therapy that you need to heal. That is why I do the work that I do. It gets me up in the morning. It makes me knock on those doors when those doors are firmly shut in my face. It makes me want to just do more, do better, and I won't stop and I can't. You do have the power to take back control over your lives by seeking out the help and support that you need. Speaking up if that's the right thing for you. Speaking to people that can help and support you if that's right for you. Whatever it is you need, I urge you to don't suffer in silence. I urge you to go out and get that help and support, because it is out there. Go to websites like the Survivors Trust, like Rape Crisis. Go to informational websites like the Centre of Child Sexual Abuse Expertise. There is so much wealth of information out there. You are not the only one going through this stuff. You are not the only one being impacted. You can get your life back. You can live your life. You can succeed. You can fulfill your potential. And I really urge you to get the help and support that you need. Live your life. Find love, life and laughter after abuse. That's my ending words to you all, because you all deserve that and so much more.
Of silence, and in the naked light I saw tonight.
So yesterday we heard in Parliament that the government are going to actually take on board all 20 recommendations and go further and look into localised grooming gang offending and so much more. So I just want to thank you all for your support, and what follows is the announcement in Parliament, and I would like you please to share this far and wide, and all we need to do now is keep on top of what's being said, what is being actioned, and really make everyone accountable to changing the landscape in the better whole systems approach in responding to child sexual abuse and exploitation, and to better protect children and young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Last Monday, I set out the actions this government is taking forward to tackle the terrible crimes of child sexual exploitation and abuse, including mandatory reporting, a new victims and survivors panel, an overhaul of data and police performance requirements, tougher sentences for perpetrators, and support for local inquiries, including in Oldham. The Safeguarding Minister is this morning meeting with survivors from Oldham, and earlier this week she and I met Professor Alexis Jay, who chaired both the 7-year National Independent Inquiry into child sexual abuse and the first local independent inquiry into grooming gangs in Rotherham. Professor Jay's strongest message to us was that the survivors who bravely testified to terrible crimes committed against them must not be left to feel that their efforts were in vain, because despite all the inquiries, no one listened and nothing was done. So following those discussions, I therefore want to update the House on our next steps, both to take forward inquiry recommendations and to go further in tackling sexual exploitation and grooming on the streets and online to keep children safe. The Independent National Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse completed its final report in 2022. It took 7 years, heard 7,000 personal testimonies and considered 2 million pages of evidence. They were devastating accounts of brutal rapes, sexual violence, humiliation, trauma, betrayal of vulnerable children by those charged with protecting them, and people in positions of power who shamefully put the reputation of institutions before the protection of children. The inquiry included separate detailed reports on organised child abuse in residential homes and schools, abuse and cover-ups in the Catholic and Anglican churches, and a 2-year inquiry published in February 2022 into child sexual exploitation by organised networks and grooming gangs, which itself examined over 400 recommendations made by previous inquiries and serious case reviews, as well as taking further evidence of its own. And there have been further reports since then, including on Telford and on police performance. But despite all those national inquiries, reports, and hundreds of recommendations, far too little action has been taken. And shamefully little progress has been made. That has to change. So before Easter, the government will lay out a clear timetable for taking forward the 20 recommendations from the final ICSA inquiry report. 4 of those are specifically for the Home Office, and I can confirm we have accepted them in full, including on disclosure and barring, and work on these is already underway. A cross-government ministerial group is considering and working through remaining recommendations, and that group will be supported by our new Victims and Survivors panel. In addition, I can confirm today that the government will implement all the remaining recommendations in the Child Abuse Inquiry's separate standalone report on grooming gangs from February 22, including updating key department education guidance. So let me turn to the areas where we need to go further.